Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. Closing in on that 100th episode. Can you believe it? Ooh. It's going to be the usual stuff. Something from the week when it was recorded. Then it's games, movies and TV. And anything else that pops into the old tiny little mind. If you're checking us out on YouTube, do click the subscribe button. If you've already clicked it, get a friend or a family member to do the same. It's a big help. If you prefer the audio experience, that's fine, but do subscribe on either SoundCloud, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right, I presume this is working. I've had some technical issues podcasting recently. Some lack of microphone as well as lack of audio. And that was a fun one. Not today by the looks of things, so I probably don't need to be talking about it now. Sorry, that's very impersonal. A big slurpy drink. I'm waiting for my coffee to cool down. So, a glass of water for this guy. So, a little taste of things to come. Few things on the list, but quick subjects for the week. And then just a few pieces of entertainment. So, this is where I'll do the thing where I go, it's probably going to be a quick one, and then it'll be like an hour and a half. You know how it goes. So I was going to give you an update on the anger management. So, new thing. In an attempt to combat the anger, now what I've started doing is if I'm like if something happens and then I'm like, oh, what the fuck, you know, that kind of thing. When I stop going, "Did you fucking," I then go, Why did we feel it necessary to get angry at that? I actually say that out loud. So there's I think I've added a step. I've added a step of accountability for the anger, maybe. So now it's like go from 70 to 100, if anybody remembers what that was actually referring to. So get angry, but then ask myself why and was it necessary? Like actually out loud, like, you know, like talking to myself, and that makes me feel silly. And I don't mean the talking to myself. I've been doing that for years. What I mean is, like, calling myself on my own bullshit makes me feel silly. So then I'm like, probably didn't need to do that. Probably was unnecessary. And then I kind of walk, you know, I walk away from it because I feel silly then. So, obviously the goal would be to get to the point of not being angry at silly things. Example, literally 5 minutes ago, I moved the mixer from one side of the room to the other, and in the process of doing it, caught the USB plug, as I have done a million times before, and knocked it off the cable. So I was like, oh, fuck. And I think I didn't get all the way through the profanities before I was like, oh, whatever. So maybe that's like an improvement, maybe. I don't know. In my head, it seems like it's an improvement. Like I say, the goal is obviously to get to a point where I'm not doing that, especially for silly little things. You know, everybody gets angry, and everybody has that right. But does it necessarily need to be for everything? So there you go. Just thought I'd give you a little update. It's that thing. Stuff like that kind of amuses me. But yeah, there we go. So I need to get some opinions. It's difficult to get an opinion when you're basically talking to yourself. But I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to you guys. So it was in a sort of hard to explain it. In a kind of situation where looking at getting some work done in the house. So certain types of work need certain types of people. So this required a guy. You know that situation where you got to get a guy. So arranged for said guy. Now let me just give you an extra little something for this. The guy is called Dave. So we're ticking a lot of guy boxes here. Needed a guy to come and do a thing. Look at a thing, to do a thing, to do a quote for a thing, that kind of situation. So Leanne's like, Dave's coming. Like, okay. Dave's coming on Tuesday. Okay, I'll be there. I'll be available to speak to Dave. What time's Dave coming? Dave's coming at 4. Okay, I'll be available for 4. Now in those situations, I mean, I would say 4 o'clock was late in the day. And I would also say that somebody that, travels around and goes to see people and talk to people about things could potentially get bogged down and waylaid. But to give this guy his dues, pretty much 4 o'clock on the nose, he turned up. However, 2 minutes before he arrived, I was in the bedroom, and all of a sudden I was like, "What's that noise?" I was like, "What the hell's that noise?" A bit more noise going on, and I'm like, I mean, if I didn't know better, I would say that was the engine of a high-powered machine. So I went and I looked out the window, and I was like, I shouted down the stairs. I was like, "I think your guy's here," because a bright yellow Mustang has just pulled onto the drive. Now, here's my question. Let's say you're a guy. You're the guy. You gotta go do some work. You're the guy. But let's say you're quite successful at your job and you have the kind of money that affords a Mustang. The kind of money that a car like that costs a £5 just to start it. Do you go to people's houses in said Mustang? Or would you have something else? I have given this a lot of thought. I have asked a lot of people. so we're kind of at the end of the thought process in this one. But yeah, I'm like, wouldn't you get yourself like a Mustang and I don't know, like a normal car? I'm not saying it's kept me awake, but... And what sort of message does that send when you turn up at someone's house in a Mustang? Because essentially, the house that you're turning up, the job you're going to do, the all of that stuff is paying for that car. So you kind of saying to that person or those people, hey, here's what your money here's what your money bought, here's what you're paying for. But then on the flip side, on the other end of the scale, if you've got the money to buy a Mustang, then surely it is your right, your absolute right, to drive said Mustang whenever and wherever you want. So why not? Good on it. I honestly, if I looked at my bank balance and I was like, yeah, that's Mustang money right there, I'd buy a Mustang. Good. But then am I going to leave it on the drive and go driving around in like a Ford Fiesta day in, day out? By the sound of it, there is a lot of driving in this guy's job. Would you not want to do it in style? If driving is part of your job? So, yeah, I've put quite a lot of thought into this. Yeah. Some might say too much thought. Some might say not enough. I need to. So, I've started buying something. And the other day I bought a few things, and then I was like, I don't know if this might be a problem. So I'm trying to work out if I've got a book buying addiction. And I am fully aware that in life there are probably worse things than buying books. I think I've spoken about this recently. When I spent like £4 and got 12 or 16 books or something. So here's how it goes. Here's the process. The process goes like this. I get an email from Amazon, usually. And it says, do you want a load of books for 99p a book? Yes. Immediately. So I've always had this thing. If I think I'm getting a bargain, I will spend more money on said bargain than if I wasn't getting a bargain. So if I used to say that they used to stock shelves in supermarkets when they knew I was coming, because they just used to put those like yellow, buy 3 for 2, 2 for 150, those sort of stickers. I think they used to have a camera outside and they'd see me come in and they'd run and put all of those out because they knew that they'd make an absolute fortune. Because the moment I see that sticker, I almost don't care what it is. The moment my brain engages in, you're getting a bargain here, that's it. We're off to the races. So yeah, anytime I think I'm getting a bargain, I go crazy. I go nuts. Often get emails from Amazon. Oh, do you want some Kindle books for £1? Yeah, okay, I'll have a look. So, this has been happening a lot recently, and I have bought a lot of books recently. But I have read a lot of books recently. I mean, I've read I read 3 books in the last week. I was having a conversation the other day. I said the phrase, in one of the books I'm currently reading. And I thought it sounded a bit... pretentious isn't the right word, but I can't think what the right word is. Obnoxious? That might be the word. And I was like, oh shit, that sounded really, let's say it's obnoxious. That sounded really obnoxious. And then I ran through in my head how many books I was currently reading. And it was 4. And it was only 4 because it would have been 5, but I finished one the day before. So I was like, I mean, the statement in itself is true. So, I've bought a lot of books recently, but I've also read a lot of books recently. So, getting back to the point. Do you want a load of books for £1? Yeah, I'll just have a look. So there was a point in time where I had a load of tabs open on the internet. One of them was like books specifically picked for you. One was like sci-fi and fantasy. One was like bestsellers. And they're all cheap. So cheap is my kryptonite. So then I was like, okay, let's not go crazy. Last time we went a little crazy. We spent a whole £4 and got a shed ton of books. Let's not go crazy. Let's set a limit. Let's set a limit. So I'm like, okay, 99p. £5. Let's set a limit of £5. So I did that. I was like, I'm not going to spend more than £5 on books. So that was that. Then I was like, oh, that book, that looks interesting. That sounds interesting. That sounds like it. So I then had a load of other tabs of potential books that I could have bought open. I had 2 books that were part of a series. And then you couldn't have had a more random selection of books. I had all these tabs over. So then I started reading what each of them was about. I was like, oh, that's good. I like the sound of that. That sounds good. I'll get that. So this was these two books in the series by an author that I've read books of, other books in another series from. I was like, well, I like that author, so I should probably get both of those. So that's £2. Then there was another one I was reading and I was like, oh, I like the sound of that. That sounds quite interesting. Oh, yeah, okay, that sounds interesting. I might get that. And then there were these other 2 books. So I was umming and ahhing, and there was this bestseller, and I was like, try and stick within the £5, stick to the £5. I think I might have gone over. I think I might have spent £6. But here was the thing. I looked at the books I bought. At one point in time, I just had to click the button. I was like, just click the button and be done with it. Stop fretting over it. So I've got like these 2 books in this series from this author that I like. Let's slide them to one side. I think we can accept those. There was a book about. It seemed to say that it was about a hitman, but then it wasn't. It was a murder mystery set in a hotel, and there was like a suitcase of money. I was like, yeah, that sounds like it could be interesting. I think it might have been Russian. So I was like, okay, I think that's acceptable. That's the kind of book I would read. It sounded interesting. A lot of good reviews. Slide that over to this pile of acceptable books. There was another one that was a bestseller, and there was all these great comments about this book being a bestseller. So I was like, it sounds interesting. It was about a perfect world, but then it's like the woman that's made a perfect world. Her child doesn't fit into that world or something. Although I do think that might have been a Netflix series that I was looking at the other day. Maybe they're the same. Now I think about it. Anyway, I was like, yeah, they're fine. I can slide those over. So that leaves us with 2 books. One was, I think it was something like Meal Prep for Kings. A book about how the two authors of the book had lost a combined 15 stone. And they were going to tell me how to go about meal prepping and losing weight. So there was that. I think we can let that one slide. Let's put that over in the pile. The last one might be the point where I went, So the final book in the list was A Beginner's Guide to Psychology. So that was around about the point in time where I was like, I might have a problem. Now, I'm not going to go into it in depth or at length or any of that, but what sounds initially like a bit of a random book, that there is a high chance that I will read that book for a variety of different reasons. But it was also the point where I was like, I think I might have a problem with buying books. So what's that? Is that 6 books? Sounds like 6 books. You add that to the... Was it 12 books I bought? Minus the X number that I've read in the last week or so, a couple of weeks. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's absolutely no... But the reason I wrote it down was, can it be classed as a... No, it's not an addiction. But can it be classed as like a problem? Buying too many books? They're Kindle books. It's not even like I have to, find the space for them. But yeah, amazing how life changes from what I would have been buying X amount of time ago to what I'm buying nowadays. Crazy. I've got 2 things here. I'm going to flip them round. Just one of them is a bigger thing than the other. I need to know if somebody can drop me a line on this one, and just give me some kind of pointers or guidance or something. I've fallen on a predicament. I'm not going to use any names in this scenario. A, because I don't think it's necessarily about that, and B, I imagine if you think hard enough, you might be able to work out who this person is. So, the way I do my social media following is generally this. I'll be sitting and watching a TV show or a film, and I'll be like, do you know something there? I quite like that person. I think they're quite good. I think they're quite good in this. And I saw them in that other thing and they were quite good in that. I wonder if they're on social media. Insert social media. Instagram, Twitter. I don't really feel like you can follow people that much on Facebook. So I'll go to one of the social medias. I'll do some kind of search for said person. Find if they've got a thing. And like I say, if I like them, I'll generally follow them. No skin off my teeth. So, a few months back, I was watching somebody in it. I was like, do you know something? I quite like that person. I think they're quite good in this. And I watched a film with them in recently. And they were in another film I enjoyed, and I've seen them in something else. Do you know what? I'm going to see if they're on social media. I did that. They were. Click, press, whatever on the follow. I am now one of your loyal followers. And that was that. Fire and forget. Every now and then this person pops up. They say a thing, it's in the feed, and that's that. Next thing, I start seeing this person's name appearing a lot on a particular social media platform, and a lot of people are showing a lot of support, calling out to other people, support this person, yay. It's like, cool, maybe you're just highlighting how good this person is in this particular role, said naive me. A little bit further down the line, maybe it was a few days, maybe it was a week, maybe it was a bit more, this particular person ended up in the news. Now, I think we all know that there's generally, a couple of ways you end up in the news. One of them's good and one of them's bad. You're either in the news because you did something good, or you're in the news because you did something bad. And this person was in the news because they'd done something that wasn't particularly deemed overly great. That's putting it mildly, I would say. And then the proverbial shit hit the fan. Since then, various things have come out. The person in question, it's been highlighted that they've said a variety of things, and then ultimately they have ended up losing their job because of the fact that they have a series of strong opinions. Since then, obviously it's gung-ho with the old abuse from one side, support from the other side. This person has kind of stood their ground and has kind of gone all guns a-blazing on their beliefs. Here's my question. If I like that person's acting, if I like the character that person has played, if I like other things this person has been in, but I don't agree with their stance on things, their personal beliefs, do I unfollow them? The reason I say this is because I'm not just talking about this particular person. There is somebody else I have on social media, and I've never been able to work out quite what their stance is. They seem to be quite political. And one minute I'm very much like, oh man, I think that this person could be one of those people. And then the next minute I'm like, oh, maybe not. Maybe they're not that kind of person. And I've never really been able to work it out, but I've always had that feeling of, if it turns out that this person, it leans a particular way, do I then have to unfollow them, even though I think that they're a good actor or person, or, famous person? So what's the etiquette? Should I be unfollowing certain people? The whole thing just makes me feel a bit weird. Because I keep going, I'm going to have to unfollow this person. They're promoting stuff that I don't agree with. And every time I go to press the button, I'm like, but I did like them. I did like them in that film. Or that TV series. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. The reason I bring it up is I do genuinely feel like I want somebody to kind of almost like sit me down and explain it to me. Like, it feels like another one of those things where I don't feel like I have the correct level of intelligence to deal with this. So I kind of feel like I want to sit down with somebody who can explain it to me so that I can then make a more informed decision. I don't know if it's like a head versus heart scenario. So yeah, if somebody's prepared to sit down and explain this to me, or drop me a line on this one, I am more than happy to listen. So, weekend just gone. There was a birthday. Love a birthday. Oh man. As I'm sure it's fairly common knowledge at this point in time. My three children, and their differences. In certain scenarios, my eldest reminds me of me so much. It's terrifying. I always remember my mother making that kind of, just you wait until you have children and you have to deal with this kind of thing. And obviously as a child being like, yeah, whatever. And now that's all I can hear when I look back and think, oh man, I should have probably done something about that. So yeah, my entertaining children. My eldest, who is very much like me in a lot of ways. My middle daughter, who finds her own little ways of dealing with things and coping with things and being a part of things. And the baby, who's not a baby, but she is the baby, I suppose. So, as a veteran, as a parent who's had more than a couple of years, more than a few years, in the role of said parent, I want to impart some information. This is a thing that I've cultivated over a good few years now, and I'm ready to share this gem with you. And by you, I mean person who at this point in time is potentially thinking of having children. Take all of your money, every penny that you would spend on said child from the age of birth to 3 years old. Now what I mean by that is, if Christmas comes before their third birthday sort of situation, if they're like 2.5 and it's Christmas, that might, that's a muddy waters sort of thing, but save every penny that you would spend up to the age of 3, put it in a high interest account, leave it there until they're like 18, and then decide how you're going to deal with that money. On birthdays, take a crisp, clean, new £10 note to a shop of some description and spend every penny of it on a variety of different balloons. Bring them home, inflate said balloons, and provide those as your gift to said child. Spending money on children before they're like 3 years old is a waste. Birthdays, Christmas, it doesn't mean a thing. You're better off getting a load of balloons, like those ones that you can like put you put like rice in them, and then they've got like a thing so you can like punch them and they make noise. Just buy a load of them. Because the other thing is that other people buy for your children. So you get like aunties and uncles and People like that, buy something. Friends, buy something. Grandparents, buy something. All sorts of people buy things. And you just end up with all of this stuff. And a child up to the age of 3 doesn't care, doesn't know how to process the information. So it doesn't really have any relevance. Do you know what they do understand? They understand 2 things. 1, cardboard boxes are cool. 2, balloons are cool. Get yourself a decent hard-wearing cardboard box, fill it with balloons. You're an absolute hero to the common man. So that's my... You can take that to the bank piece of advice for any new or to-be, parents-to-be or anything like that. Do not spend a penny on said child until the age of 3. Trust me in this one. You will not regret it. And by the time they're 3, you're going to have a big chunk of change sitting in the bank. Because, interest and stuff like that. So there is my advice to you, dear listeners. Right, let's talk some entertainment news. Now then, I think I might at this point I'll certainly be a week behind on American Gods. It's one of those, I had to sacrifice something, and that sacrifice was American Gods. Not because I don't intend to watch it, I absolutely do. It's just been a busy week. And this weekend it ain't going to get any quieter, I tell you that. I tell you what. And you'll see why I had to let something go this week. It's been a busy one. So, let's talk the big one. The big guy. Yeah, we're talking Snyder Cut, people. Zack Snyder's Justice League. I honestly didn't know where to start with this. That's not true. I was going to just start with the review of the film, but then I was like, well, maybe I should do a bit of background. And then I was like, at this point in time, anybody who's going to be interested probably knows the background. So, the way I tend to review things is kind of like a pros and cons. Here's everything that's good about it, here's everything that's bad about it. You decide. Sometimes my opinions are quite strong in this was absolute dog shit kind of region. And also, goes the other way too. If I really like something, I'll try and, get that across. So, I'm going to flip it this time. Let's talk about everything that's wrong with the Snyder Cut. So, hands down, I would say in the last 20 years, hands down, the worst looking film I've seen in the last 20 years. It has the worst CG it could be ever. I think it could be ever. There's a film called Cradle of Fear. There is a scene in Cradle of Fear where they wanted to make it look like a character was driving a soft top car with the roof down and was nearly involved in an accident, and they swerved between cars at a crossroads. The way they did this was they used a cardboard cutout of the car and just sort of like moved it on the screen. It's hilarious. I have never seen anything like it before, and I've never seen anything like it since. It's so amazingly bad. It just stands out above anything else. That was until the bit with Jesse Eisenberg in the Schneider cut at the beginning of the film. I have never seen anything look that bad. And it doesn't stop there. It looks awful. I really, really wish the guys who do like the Marvel CG could have had a crack at it to make it look just even marginally better. It looks awful. It's one of the worst looking films ever. So there's that. I can see why Ray Fisher has been so insistent that this version of the film gets released, because basically Ray Fisher plays Cyborg, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Schneider cut, is basically Cyborg the movie, which is completely baffling to me. Why anybody would make that decision is beyond me. You know, Cyborg isn't a main Justice League character. You know, he graduates from being a Teen Titan. But when you've got access to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, even Aquaman, you're like, I know we've got all of these guys, but here's an idea. Cyborg. Let's make it all about Cyborg, shall we? It's weird because it feels largely like feels like Batman's not even in it. It's really weird. You know, obviously you've got the stuff with Superman, and you know, even if you have seen the Whedon version, I'm not going to spoil anything there, because it is different. What else? There are a series of things that I don't like. Unfortunately, to talk about them would fall into spoiler territory, and I'm not here to ruin anyone's day. We might just have to move on to the good stuff. Now, I think what a lot of people would be expecting at this point in time, you know, before all the reviews started coming out, would be for me to be like, there isn't any good stuff. That is very far from the truth. So, let me just drain this coffee so I can really get stuck in. I saw a headline that said, the Whedon version is dead. Long live the Schneider Cut. I agree. Yes, it's 4 hours long. Do I think it needs to be 4 hours long? I honestly can't tell you. It took me 7 attempts to watch all 4 hours. Started on Thursday. I finished it yesterday, which would be Sunday. So it took me 4 days and 7 attempts to watch it. Hey, what can I say? I'm a busy man. Does it need to be 4 hours? Probably. Yeah, it's 4 hours because there was a lot of story to tell. There are things I like about it. People get a bit more of a backstory. Yes, admittedly, a lot of that centres around Cyborg. Whereas in comparison, you've got like them just basically saying that Bruce Wayne's been Batman for 20 years. Which, I've seen a lot of stuff about people crying out for more Batfleck. If I'm honest, I kind of came right, I could kind of see why. By the end of this version of the Justice League, I was kind of okay with Ben Affleck's Batman. That feels weird because I think I've been quite critical of it. Aquaman gets more of a backstory which ties into the Aquaman film. Does it explain why that film is so bad? No. Wonder Woman. I saw a review that said that the person that suffers the most is Wonder Woman. I'd agree with that. She doesn't really have much more of a role, and she does just generally give like a bit like a narrative to certain aspects, like explaining about Darkseid and stuff. There is a scene that is it was in the Whedon version, but it's been kind of extended and plumped out in this version. It was very 50-50. There were aspects of it that I really didn't like. But then there were other aspects that really show sort of Wonder Woman's strength, which I'm not sure always comes across quite right. So there's that. One character that really benefits from this version is the Flash. I can safely say I really like pretty much everything that they've done with the Flash in this version. They've given him a lot more of his powers. Flash has a variety of powers that certainly didn't come through in the Whedon version and very rarely come through anyway. But it's not just the Flash run fast. That's not his only power. He has a variety of other abilities. Yes, they're all centered around speed. But there's a section towards the back end that's quite Flash heavy with like Flash powers. And that bit was really well done. It was really good. The Flash absolutely has benefited from this version. Other than, like I say, Cyborg. There was a few Cyborgy type things where I was like, I mean, let's face it, you're just trying to do Iron Man there. And that's not what we're here for. We're not here for Iron Man. So there's that. So this is where we're going to have to skirt spoiler territory, but I don't think this is as well. Obviously, Superman is in it. So, we know this from the Whedon version, we know this from the trailers, we know about particular suits, and I'll leave that there. There's been talk since release of these sequels that were planned, the cliffhanger ending, the sequels that were planned, the sequels that will never be, and going on to talk about what those sequels would look like and what the idea of the story would be, and so on and so forth. And they centre around a particular version of Superman. And I feel because these sequels were maybe not planned as far back as filming the first one, that there is a suggestion of this version of Superman in this cut of the film. It's not something I agree with, and it's not something that I've ever agreed with. It's never a version of the story that I like. So to see signs of it, I was like, can we not? So it's things like that. Again, a character that got a real upgrade was one of the bad guys, Steppenwolf. I would say better in every single way in this version. Even going to the armor he wears, his motives are different, and I think I can say that I think they're better motives, and things like that. So, do I think it should have been 4 hours? Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of points where I was like, I already feel like maybe you didn't need this bit. But if I'd have cut that film myself, I'd have probably cut, 5 minutes out, 10 minutes out or something. That in itself would then lean towards, presumably that means it should be 4 hours long. So there we go, nobody grumbled too much when Marvel films started all being 3 hours long. But what will I do about going to the toilet? If you can't hold your bladder for 3 hours, you might have an issue. So there. I think at this point in time, I probably wouldn't go back to the Whedon version. I was one of the few people that actually enjoyed that film. It took me a couple of attempts at watching it to get more enjoyment from it. But I think I was one of the few people that actually liked it. However, it's that thing in a world where a better version exists. Why would you go back? I say that knowing that there will be a point in time further down the line where I will go back. Just as a comparison, I've already said, I was talking about the Snyder Cut today, saying I think I'll watch it again. I think I'll watch it again fairly soon. Could even be as soon as this week. My aim would be to try and do it in certainly not 7 attempts. Maybe doing it in 2 goes, trying to do sort of 2 hours, and ideally do those 2-hour slots together. Have like a 10 or 15 minute break in the middle, and just power through. What I will say is, at no point did I feel it was a chore to watch. It didn't take me 7 attempts to watch it because I felt it was dragging and it was really difficult to watch. It took me 7 attempts to watch because, I can't sit down and watch a 4-hour film with my busy lifestyle. So there you go. I enjoyed it, and that's that basically. I've seen that it's pretty much getting solid reviews across the board, which I feel like it's very much a. Well, there we go. That's that. That's the proof there that it was worth all of this. So there you go. Let's talk VR. I've been talking about playing that giant mech game, that Archangel. I played a bit more. It's just giant mech game at this point in time. Enjoyable. I worked out how to get the health canisters. It's very much a game of catch. You have to really line up and then pluck it out of the air. But yes, I finally managed to work out how to get the health canisters. It's a game changer. I've also just been pumping all of the upgrade points into like health and shields to give me a more of a fighting chance. It's a lot of fun. It's an enjoyable thing. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. One thing that game does really well is it makes you feel. It's immersive. It makes you feel like you're in a giant robot, basically. So that's that. The reason that I'm sort of skipping through that is not in a negative way, but it was just more of the same. And I've played something else. I was going through the list of games that I got as part of the VR bundle that I bought. So I was like, I'm sure there's stuff here that I haven't played, get an idea of stuff. I looked up one of the games on the list, and I read this thing that said, or I think I watched like a review video for it, and the review featured these words. It's basically like Dead Space in VR. And I went, I'm sorry, what? So the whole time I'm playing Archangel, giant mech game, I'm like, I kind of want to give that game a go. So I did a couple of missions on Archangel, and then I was like, I can't hold out anymore. I need to know. So I've started playing a game called A-Tech Cybernetic. I watched a review. The review was kind of up and down, but it was reviewed on the PlayStation VR. And how do I say this politely? For want of a better way of putting it, I'm not sure how highly I would class PlayStation VR in the world of VR. So when they said that they'd reviewed it on that, I was like, that doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. I'd rather see what it's like on the Quest, or the Rift through the Quest, or however you want to word it, Oculus Link. So I gave it a go. Now, the review itself was a little bit more on the negative side of things. It talked like, X number of things were good. But then it was like, this isn't great, this isn't good, this looks weird, this did all of this sort of stuff. I was like, the only way you actually get a review of something is to play it yourself. Which is what I did. Put it on and started playing it. Now, firstly, as part of the tutorial, it wanted me to do something. When I was trying to do said thing, it wouldn't work. Now, whether that was because I was doing it wrong, or because it was a bit glitchy, but I couldn't progress through the tutorial. So in the end, I was like, screw this, I'm just going to start playing the game. I'm sure I'll work it out. Probably a little bit of an overstatement, that one. It took me ages to work out certain aspects of this game. There's all this stuff to do with like picking up weapons and like weapons in holsters and weapons in your hands and how to get from one weapon to the other. All of this. Slowly over time I managed to work it out and got into a position where I could start playing the game. It's a lot of fun. I can see the Dead Space comparison. I can see a couple of the negative points that the review was talking about, but I'm happy to overlook those things because it. You know me, guys. At the end of the day, I like it when games are fun. Sue me. And this game is fun. Something I will say, and I think when games do this, I'm a bit like, this has to be me, this can't be the game. I was going along and I was playing, I was picking up weapons, picking up ammo, picking up weapons, picking up ammo. Next thing I'm like, all of the weapons I've got full ammo. maybe I should start using some of these big guns. I've got a machine gun, I've got a shotgun, I've got a handgun. Maybe I should start using the big boys, the machine gun and stuff. So, shoot a guy, pick up some ammo, shoot a guy, pick up some ammo. Constantly being told, full ammo. I got to this bit where it was like, hey, you're in a room, you're being attacked non-stop. Enemies just spawn constantly. You're being attacked non-stop. Activate this thing. I was like, that's probably a good idea so I can get the hell out of here. So I pressed the button and it was like, okay, cool. You need to survive for 3 minutes. I was like, okay. It took me so many attempts at surviving these 3 minutes. Like at some points I wasn't even hitting a minute. But as it went on, I started to get the groove. I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. I kind of get where we're going here. Heal when you need to heal, if you can, free up the health station. Run around and pick up as much ammo as you can find. Keep shooting. Try and kill the big enemies and all of this sort of stuff. So I managed to get it. So it was like 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes is up. The door opens. You run through the door. You press the button. You close the door. Boom. Go into the next section. And I'm like, what's going on here? I've got like at this point in time, like 3 guns. A machine gun, a shotgun, and a handgun, a pistol, and no ammo. Like the pistol's got like 1 clip in it. The shotgun's got like 9 shotgun shells. I think the machine gun was empty. Like, okay, maybe that's just a part of the game where it's like, you're supposed to get low on ammo because you spend all this time walking around having too much ammo. Since that point of the game, I've never been able to get the ammo above basically no ammo. Like, I picked up a clip for this gun, but now I've got 3 enemies to kill and now I've got no ammo. It's been that since then. I'm like, gee, man. So it's flipped from, it just keeps telling me I've got, full ammo, to now being like, it just keeps telling me I don't have any ammo. Yeah, it's fun. One thing I will say, it's not fun to play at night on your own when a cat decides to brush past your leg and you've reached a point in the game where enemies have started attacking you from behind. And we'll leave that one there. So let's talk console games. It's going to come as no surprise to anybody that the console game that I've been playing is Cyberpunk. What might come as a surprise to some is that I finished Cyberpunk yesterday. My list actually says Cyberpunk might be finished in brackets again, and then after that in brackets it says finished. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I finished Cyberpunk 2077. As I said to Sam today, do you know what happens to a game that is horribly broken at the back end? It's so much more broken than it ever was. Because do you know what people who make broken games don't do? Fix the back end of it. Jeez. I think I had to reload on pretty much every checkpoint at the back end of that game. Oh, man, it was... Yeah, it was a full-blown nightmare. I ended up going through a door that wasn't there. Going down a tunnel. For 2 kilometres in game. Then I was like, I don't think this should be this should be this way. I'm pretty sure there should have been a door there. So now I'm going to have to go back. went all the way back, crashed through the door that was then there, which then initiated like a cut, not a cutscene, but a bit that you're not playing, you're not interacting. Shortest version is I'd really like to play a version of Cyberpunk that isn't broken. I can't get that across enough, and I know that because I say it every week. Here's the thing. I'm going to play it again because that's who I am and that's how I operate, and I do hope that in playing it again, maybe it'll get a patch in that time. Maybe it'll get some sort of fix in that time. Maybe it'll be better playing it the second time around, having a bit more of an understanding of it as a game. It's certainly not a game that tells you anything that's going on. It's just a shame at the end of the day. It's a real shame because I do think that there was probably a good game in there somewhere. And I do believe if it was fixed and it was working and it was up and running, I think it'd be a good game. I think it'd be an enjoyable game. But when you're in the midst of enjoying it and then you have to reload it and work out what the hell's broken and stuff like that, it just makes for a not overly enjoyable experience. It's that thing that, part of me feels like I want to try and give it a score, but I wouldn't know how. Would I say, it's probably a 6 because it's so broken? But then do I give it a 7 because when it's not broken it's quite good? Do I give it an 8 because when it's, when you're in the thick of it, it's really quite good? Who knows? I don't think I'm qualified for this job. If I'm honest, there's a lot I would have taken out of it. There's a lot that game doesn't need. For example, this huge, sprawling city, so underused that it's pointless. They could have made it smaller and made it tighter. That kind of thing where you just keep going to the same places. Stuff like that. I did a secret mission the other day. I was on the hunt for motorbikes, so I looked something up on the internet and found this thing saying that there's a secret mission where your reward is a motorbike. So I did that. That was kind of fun, bit of a distraction. Realistically, the back end of the game was me just finding stuff to do to kind of try and drag it out, which again I don't feel is the way games should be played. One thing that was hugely disappointing, and probably the most disappointing aspect, was how short it was. And the fact that it did leave you to kind of go about making your own fun. I don't mean like dicking around. I mean like there's a lot of side missions in that game. But you have to like go and go here and get this side mission, and every single one of them starts with a phone call, and you can guarantee that the game glitches when you try and answer the phone. So you just stood staring at a brick wall for X amount. It's that sort of thing. One of the things that I did feel a bit meh about was the aspect of kind of feeling like I was having to make my own fun. Honestly, I'd have been happy if it had given me just a list of all the available missions. I feel that would have been a bit more focused. But I imagine that probably takes away from the game. I am going to play it again. I'm probably going to start it again quite soon, possibly even when I finish this podcast. I think what I'll do is probably start it and then switch to something else. If I'm honest, I think that game I'll end up going back to Valhalla. I feel like I've had a sufficient break from that, and I do think that I've got a couple of other things to play to break that up if that ends up getting monotonous again. But like I say, I do want to play through Cyberpunk again. I hope that they start dropping some fixes for it, and I do think starting it from the beginning with a better understanding of the game as a whole might make for a more interesting playthrough and kind of play it a different way. So we'll see about that. So there we go. That's the podcast in a nutshell. Thank you very much for listening along with me, joining me. If anybody can chime in on any of the points I've raised, then yeah, that would be cool. Until next time, I'm going to catch you guys later. So there you go, what do you think of that? Another one done, and as I was saying before, another one closer to the all-important 100th episode of the Darkest Timeline podcast. Can you believe it? If you are checking us out on YouTube and you're a subscriber, that's awesome. But if you could maybe just tell one person over the course of the next week to do the same, that'd be amazing. If you're getting us audio-wise, SoundCloud, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts, then do subscribe there, because it's a big help to us and the podcast. So yeah, there's that. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.